Welcome to Lola's Frugal Life Podcast. If you're on a mission to be more frugal with both your time and money, you're in the right place. In this podcast, we talk about topics that help enhance living a frugal lifestyle. The goal is to save time and money where we can so that we can use the rest on what matters most to us. We talk a lot about both time and money management so that we can waste as little as possible on both. We do this while also embracing a progress over perfection mindset. If that sounds good to you, then please stick around for the latest episode right after a few quick words from our sponsor. Hi everyone, welcome back to Lola's Frugal Life Podcast. Before we get into the topic, just a quick life update. So this week I will be having Thanksgiving at my house. It's actually really nice because we just have my mom and my sister and her family. So it's basically my mom, my sister, her husband, and my stepdaughter. So it's a small group and we're pretty casual. So I don't have to go crazy making sure the house is spotless. So it's just kind of like a nice Thanksgiving without too much pressure of having to go crazy cleaning for the day before. And my daughters have gotten into, wanting to help with picking out some of the dishes, especially really just one of my daughters. The other one just is whatever. Participate in making things. So she was going to make some type of appetizer or maybe a charcuterie board or something like that. So that'll be really nice. So that's my little life update. And then my loving lately is my Christmas puzzle that I've been working on. For my birthday, my husband got me a Christmas puzzle, which is really cute. And I really enjoy doing a puzzle around this time of year when it's colder out up here in New Jersey. The weather actually has been pretty nice though, compared to sometimes around this time of year. But it's still nice to have a puzzle going as we get closer to the holidays. And then my plan is to kind of try and have it finished in time for Christmas or even sooner before, it'll never be done, but in time for decorating for Christmas because we're going to decorate the weekend after Thanksgiving. But it's just kind of nice to have the puzzle going. And then since it's a Christmas themed puzzle, I plan and hope to have it done in time for when we pack away our Christmas stuff. So it's kind of a nice thing to do. I really enjoy it, and I think that maybe I might try and make it a tradition to do a Christmas type puzzle every year this time of year. A cute little thing to have going. So anyway, today's topic I wanted to talk about is managing the cost. So convenience is something that we all look for at times. Life is really busy, and anything that can help us get through the day with a little bit more ease is often welcomed. But sometimes things that are convenient, pretty much always things that are more convenient, come at a cost. So part of being responsible and disciplined with our money, of course, is weighing how those costs of conveniences compare to other things that might be more important to us. So sometimes we tend to eliminate certain conveniences in our lives so that we can use that money towards things we value more. But it is important to think about conveniences that we can lean on sometimes to just make sure that we're comfortable with what we're giving up in order to have those conveniences. But at the same time, it's also important to take advantage of conveniences when they're needed. Frugality is really all about spending your money in a way that's important to you. It's not just about saving money at all costs, and it's not about being cheap with the things that you purchase. But being a frugal person can sometimes kind of get us into the mindset that convenient purchases are being wasteful and that we really should be using that money elsewhere. When we know we can do something ourselves for less cost, we might tend to stay away from those things that include a cost related to the convenience of them. But we do also have to allow ourselves to take advantage of conveniences when it makes sense and when we really need the help. If you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed out, taking the pressure off yourself can be really necessary. So even though those conveniences might not be part of our normal spending habits or daily life, and it might not be something that we want to be part of our normal spending habits or daily life, but it doesn't mean that you can't use them occasionally. Sometimes we really get ourselves into this mindset that certain things we just don't do. And even though those things might really be able to help us out with a minimal cost at certain times, we might not even consider them. One thing that comes to mind as an example of this, which is really minimal, but it's just something that I think about, a really long road trip, and I needed to cook dinner that night for whatever reason. I think sometimes just after a long vacation, I just don't even feel like ordering out anymore because we've already eaten so much other stuff and whatever. So I wanted to cook a quick meal, but I was really tired, and we were just like, it was getting late. We were on our way home. I was going to run into the grocery store real quick, pick up something I could make really easily, and have a quick meal. So I went up getting Italian sausage and rolls because I was going to do like sausage and pepper sandwiches for just like a quick dinner that night. I figured I could throw the sausage in the air fryer. I bought fresh bread, and then I was going to do like like peppers and onions in a frying pan to put with the sausages. So when I went into the grocery store, I saw they had like a pre-chopped up vegetable package that you could buy that had peppers, onions, and mushrooms that were already all chopped up. I literally have to just come home, put some oil in the pan, and saute them up. So normally I would never buy something like that. Even though the cost isn't hugely more, of course it does add up over time, especially if you're buying a ton of convenience things like that. But since I never buy something like that, it was hard for me to say, you know what, I'm just going to buy this. I really need a really quick meal tonight, and this would make my life so much easier to just come home, throw that in the pan, throw the sausage in the air fryer, and whip up sandwiches real quick. I did wind up buying them, and I was really happy that I bought them. And like I said, it's minimal cost. But because it's not something I would normally do, it was so hard for me to like make myself buy those pre-chopped vegetables. So even though it was a small cost, it was worth it, but it was a small cost that I might not have allowed myself to have because it's just not something that I'm normally used to doing. So sometimes we have to just kind of think about what the actual cost is, and that yes, while it's something we don't want to spend the money on a regular basis, if the cost is fairly minimal, it might be something that you want to just take advantage of once in a while when you really need the help or when you're just really tired out. There's all different kinds of conveniences that we can think about and see at times if they might be helpful to us. Food delivery is a convenience that many people are using even more today, especially with DoorDash and other delivery services making food that could not be delivered before more easily available. And that might not be something that you choose to spend money on a regular basis, but if you're having a really hectic day and you need to just get something to eat, it might be an option that isn't a huge cost and is still going to be much less expensive than going out to a restaurant. So weigh that option and see if that's something that maybe you could lean on a really busy night, especially as the holidays are coming up. Maybe you're going to be prepping for your Thanksgiving meal, the day before, and you just don't have time to cook another meal for that night. So maybe that's a convenience that you could rely on for something special like that, kind of more like a treat. So another one is ATM fees. That's something that I really just cannot stand to pay for ever. For my regular habits, I do not ever pay for ATM fees. I make sure if I'm going to need to get cash out that I go somewhere that I will not pay fees to take my money out. However, there has been a time here or there when we were on vacation and the time and effort it would have taken to find an ATM that was not going to cost us extra money would have not been worth it. So I do have to say, at those times, like, oh well, and just pay the few extra dollars, because I always avoid the fees when I'm able to, and I can give myself permission to spend the extra couple of dollars on the rare occasion when we need to, rather than take away time from our vacation to avoid spending a couple of dollars. Convenience stores are another one. They're usually more expensive than going to your regular grocery store, but sometimes if you really need just one ingredient to complete a meal, it's not going to cost you that much more for just one or two items. If you make a habit to get the vast majority of your groceries at the grocery store, you really don't have to feel bad about having to make the occasional purchase at a convenience store at a higher cost. Because if it's only one or two items, the cost is not going to be that dramatically different than if you went to the grocery store to get the item. The cost of single-use products like paper plates and plastic utensils can really add up too. But sometimes, if you need to save yourself some time on cleanup, if you can keep some of those items on hand to help you out once in a while, they can be really worth the cost. I don't keep them in our main like kitchen area because I don't want them to just be used on a regular basis, but I always have a stock of them kept down in our basement. That way, if we ever do need them, I can just grab them and bring them up and we can use them and make for a quick, easy meal. If we're having a little quick get together, or if we did takeout, or whatever the reason may be why I do not want to have to wash dishes, those can be a nice convenience also. And then, like I mentioned before, with the prepared foods, generally when you buy prepared foods, they're going to be more expensive. But like I was saying earlier, in my example of purchasing those pre-cut vegetables, it can be really helpful if you're just too exhausted or very short on time. And it's usually much less expensive to purchase some prepared foods rather than to order out or go out for dinner. So it's really just kind of about thinking about the different options you have and using them when you need to, and then maybe not using them if they're not that big of a value for you in your regular days. And it's good to think about them too, just in general, because, regardless of how many you do or you do not use, it makes sense to want to know what they are and kind of have a cost in mind of what those items are costing you to have those conveniences, because it can be a good area to cut a lot of times if you're going through a financial setback or if you're just trying to save up for something else. If you kind of know in the back of your mind what various convenience items you're currently spending money on, those are usually areas you can kind of make a little bit of a sacrifice and put that money towards something else. Like I said, whether that be a financial setback, or maybe you just want to put some money for saving up for a vacation or whatever else you might have saving goals for. So the main thing is really just to kind of try to find a balance between convenience and other important aspects of our lives. It's really important to be mindful of our choices when it comes to convenience. If we can just kind of ask ourselves if the convenience is worth the cost. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it isn't. So we have to be aware, make choices, and make sure that we're making time for the things that matter to us most, because sometimes we can use a convenience to get more time for something else that we want. At other times, using a convenience, maybe we don't really need to. Maybe we can take that time or save that money that we would be spending on that convenience and do things ourselves. So, there might be times where you really just need to have more time with your family, or you need to get rest or get some work done, or any other variety of priorities that you have at that time. If that means relying on a convenience to help you with those things, then give yourself permission to go ahead and do it. It's really more about being aware and making the choice to spend your money in a way that you can get the most of what you value out of life with those choices. So that's it for today. I hope this was a little bit inspiring on just kind of giving yourself maybe a little bit of more permission to use those conveniences if you need to, especially during this time of year, and know that you can still save on them at other times. So I really thank you for listening, and I will see you back here next week. So thank you for checking in for this podcast episode. And don't forget, you can always email me with any questions or suggestions at lolasfrugallife@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at lolasfrugallife. And you can find a blog post for most of my episodes, and definitely all of my meal plan episodes, at lolasfrugallife.com. You can also join our private listeners group at facebook.com/groups/lolasfrugallife. And if you enjoy the show, please make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen from. And I would love it if you would screenshot the show and tag me on Instagram so I could see you're listening. Also, if you can please take a couple of seconds to rate and review the podcast. Those ratings and reviews are what help the show come up better in search results so that other people can find this podcast. So that will really help me in growing my audience. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have an awesome day.